Okay, guys. So understanding wealth and where that came from, and understand that by the end of this class, you are no longer going to think of wealth as just money, okay? And in order to get there, we need to establish a foundation. So imagine you're building a building. What's the first thing you have to build? It's the foundation, right? And then you build everything on top of that. So the foundation of your wealth mentality is going to be based on an example, a stool example. And you guys, I am the worst artist in the entire world, and so please just bear with me as I draw a stool. And if it was a stick figure, I might have a chance, but let's just see if I can at least kind of, let's see, 1, 2, hey, you know what? Nobody laughed. That's not bad, okay? So we have a stool example, and in our stool example, in our wealth mentality, the way we think about our wealth, there are 4 areas that we're going to talk about in this class. The first one is our health. The second one is our relationships. And the third one is our well-being. Okay? These 3 legs establish a foundation for us to sit on. So I want you guys to imagine for just a second, we have these legs. You probably can't even read what I wrote up here, can you? Oh, that's really bad. Sorry, guys. We have these 3 legs. Let's imagine we don't have a seat. We just have health, personal well-being, and relationships. If I took 3 sticks and I brought them up here and I sat them in a tripod and I kind of organized them the right way, could you sit on the 3 sticks? I see some yeses and some nos. So we've done this, and it is possible. Okay, so you can take those 3 sticks and arrange them under your bottom and sit down on 3 sticks on a tripod. Okay, and so what that represents in this example, you guys, is that in our lives, health, personal well-being, and relationships are incredibly valuable for our personal wealth. Let me explain this to you. Let's imagine that we just want money. Wealth to us is just money. And so we go out and we work really, 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 really hard to get money. We work every single day, every single night. We do everything we can to get money. We don't eat well. We don't sleep well. We don't exercise. We just work. And finally, after 20 years, we have money. We have riches. And our health is terrible. We're fat, we're overweight, we can't hardly move, can't play basketball anymore, we can't do the things we want. So tell me, I have lots of money, but I have no health. Am I a wealthy person? Not in the least. Let's take another one. Relationships. I go to work every day. I'm working so hard. I leave my spouse and my children. I'm traveling. I'm super successful. I'm making lots of money. I'm always gone from home, but it's really important because I'm making lots of money and I'm pursuing the wealth that I want. I'm pursuing money. 20 years later, I'm so happy. I'm finally where I want to be. I have the money that I want, and I turn around to celebrate with my family, and they're not there because I've ignored them for so long that I don't have any relationships with them. And you know what's really sad? I see this all the time. I see people that get to the highest achievements in terms of like having power and money and all of those things, and their families are in shambles. Their families are like totally miserable. And it's so sad because they finally realize at that point that their kids didn't care one bit how much money they made. Their kids just wanted them to hang out with them a little bit more and be home a little bit more and spend some time with them and do some things. They didn't care if they had the biggest house in the neighborhood. They just wanted time with dad and mom. But I see it all the time, people pursuing money and giving up relationships. If you don't have relationships, are you wealthy? You're not. Personal well-being. So this relates to kind of our spirituality, our spirits. It relates to our minds and how well we can, how healthy we are in our minds and our spirits. If we spend all our time focusing on money and we don't focus on our minds and we get 20 years down the road, are we wealthy? No. So what I'm trying to say to you guys is, if you have health and you have personal well-being and you have relationships, even if you don't have money, because in this example, money is our top, we can have Wella. We can have happiness, fulfillment, and personal well-being. And you know how I know that? Because I lived in Brazil for a few years. And in Brazil, I would go into these houses with these families. And I'm talking, when we talk about being poor in the United States, it's not like being poor in Brazil or some of these other countries. When I walked into these houses in Brazil, I would walk into a house that would be from like this wall to maybe the end of this first table or the second table, and about from here over, like that big. And there would be 10 or 15 people living in that little space. And that was their whole house. That was their kitchen, their bathroom, their beds. Everything was in that space for, some number of people, 10 people. And their bathrooms didn't have running water. These houses were built over the water, so when they went to the restroom, it was like an outhouse, and everything just dropped down below into the water below. The walls of their houses, they weren't like our walls. They would be made of like old wood and cardboard. And their ceilings would leak, and they'd be made of wood, and they'd be leaky. So pretty poor. I mean, extreme poverty. In terms of money, they had like nothing. Just enough to eat. Some beans and rice every day. And I'd walk into these families, and they were in that condition, and I would sit down with them. And you know what? If they had health, well-being, and relationships, they were some of the happiest people I've ever met in my entire life. Without anything, they were some of the happiest people I've ever seen. So being able to have wealth, having health, well-being, and relationships, you can definitely have happiness, fulfillment, and personal well-being. I've seen it. I've seen it all over the world. But let me ask you this. If you're sitting on these 3 posts up here, remember my example, you're sitting on just the posts, how long could you do that? Probably not very long, right? That's pretty darn uncomfortable. I had Zoe do this the other day at our house, and she was sitting on it, and she's like, I can't sit on this very long. It pokes and it hurts. And that's what I want to explain to you about money. You can be happy with these other things, but the money makes it more comfortable. It makes it easier. Those families that I talked about in Brazil that were very, very happy because they had the 3 legs, it was not easy. I'm not telling you that they had an easy life. They had a very hard life. They were always trying to feed their families. They were always chasing after everything. It was a very, very difficult life. And so you guys, it's important as we talk about wealth, I don't want anyone in this room to walk out thinking, Nephi taught me that money's not important, because it's the exact opposite. I think in the world sometimes we are convinced by some people that money's a bad thing. That we shouldn't want money because money's going to make us bad people. Or we look at certain examples of people that have money and we're like, man, they do terrible things with that money. It must be really bad to have money. I'm just going to seek health, personal well-being, and relationships. I don't want money. There's people that think that, okay? You guys are not going to think that because you have a wealth mentality. What you're going to think is health, well-being, and relationships come first and are the most important. And once I have these things, it is wonderful to have money. Because you know what happens when you can pursue money off of this basis? When you get the money, you can use it for wonderful things. You can fulfill your personal goals. You can travel the world. You can give things to help your kids. You can help other people. You can go to South America and help people that have nothing. So having wealth and having money is a wonderful thing, you guys. The problem is we see people that have wealth, have money, but they don't have these things, and we think it's bad. But it's not bad. It's wonderful. And everyone in here should be pursuing health, relationships, personal well-being, and money. And we're going to teach you how to do that. We're going to teach you how to pursue money the right way. That's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's a big change for some people. Some people are scared of having money. That sounds crazy, I know. But there are people out there that are afraid of it. But you guys aren't going to be. Because you guys want to pursue wealth the right way for the right reason. And that's what we talk about as the wealth mentality way.